it's STREEZYonX, bringing you the major trends of X today. First, let's take a look at some of the news stories that Grok tells us about. So Apple Music unveils its first ever 100 best albums list, calling it a love letter to the records that have shaped the world we live and listen in. It will be announcing the list 10 albums at a time for the next 10 days, so full list will be available May 22nd, but you can of course start streaming their playlist now. They've got recents and throwbacks already. Head on over to their X page so you can see their update posts or a link to the full list on their website. Another story we're seeing is that of Mica Miller and John Paul Miller, or JP, who is a pastor in South Carolina. If you've been on X at all this past week, there's no way you haven't seen a post talking about this. It's a tragic story of a woman who lost her life that was initially ruled a suicide, but the red flags began popping up immediately. Less than 2 weeks prior to Mica's death, she filed for divorce, and 2 days before JP was served those papers. So obviously that timeline is looking dreadful on its own if you were someone that was aware of this information. But the first red flag that tipped off the public, and I believe was the first clip that circulated and really got the attention of everyone for this story, was how the pastor of this church announced Mica's death. He, one, waited until the end of the sermon to say it, which just feels disrespectful and so much like an afterthought. But that's not even acknowledging the fact that he says he received a phone call the night before letting him know that she had passed. So why is he even there preaching the next day in the first place? Look, I'm not here to tell anyone how to grieve, but I don't know a lot of people who would immediately go to work within the 24 hours of being told their spouse died, especially acting like it didn't happen the whole time. Because the other thing that makes it so strange is that members of the church reported that sermon prior was otherwise pretty upbeat. So anyways, we also hear that Mica's sister and brother filed support documents for the divorce, saying they knew of the abuse and violence, with her sister going as far as to say that Mica said, "If I wind up with a bullet in me, it was JP." I've also found some alleged Facebook screenshots from the sister, who is very vocal about how displeased she was with who her sister was married to and made it known and stood up for her in that way, and I think that was very sweet. But we see that this situation was known about. I'm also seeing screenshots of what is said to be the text JP sent his late bride's family members. I thought you two should know, Mica killed herself earlier today. She needed her lithium because she's been having a 3-month psychotic episode. So that was sent to a couple people. I'm not exactly sure who, but I'm guessing Mica's sister and brother. And then to a larger group of her family members, he sends the text, "This is what happens when you try to encourage someone to divorce the person they love and tell them they don't need medicine and that they're not ill when they are. Good job, Francis family." So another piece to the puzzle, that's not how you express your wife died, especially to her own family. Unfortunately, another tell, probably the biggest piece, is that this isn't the first time we see this kind of behavior from JP Miller. Add that to the puzzle along with a lot of other suspicious pieces, like how Mica's father went missing the month she passed away as well. I'm gonna leave you the article I got my information from, which includes the video of him making the announcement to the church. Also put a video of a guy breaking down the divorce affidavits, and the video that's making the rounds today, which is his eulogy at Mica's funeral, in which he states he tried to raise her from the dead. See it all for yourself and tell me the conclusion you come to. And as for what some of the trending topics were, we had Cohen, with Michael Cohen being the star witness in the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal case against Trump, the case that alleges Trump falsified business records to conceal reimbursements made to Cohen for the $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. And so Cohen is trending because he took the stand to testify today, but there is skepticism coming from both sides for Cohen's credibility because he's been caught in so many lies, and self-admittingly too. I'll leave you a couple of videos of Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, and allegedly some documents from them as well, that are them initially confessing a different story than the one they are painting today. Let me know what you think. And then we also had Melinda Gates trending, with her announcement of departure from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There's not an explicit reason stated, but they have been divorced for a few years, and she shares that she's ready to move forward into the next chapter of her philanthropy. And I'm sure she'll have no trouble doing so because the foundation is granting her $12.5 billion as she takes this next step. That's all I've got for you right now, but make sure you check out the full thread on X for those videos and links, and I'll see you tomorrow.